couple extra buttons here to
Okay.
click.
It's going to take about 20 seconds before it goes up.
It looks like we are. Couple extra buttons here to click.
It's going to take about 20 seconds before it goes up.
It looks like we are.
It's live now, Steve. We'll just wait a couple minutes before people come in.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And good morning and good afternoon to all the folks that are on.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Craig. Really appreciate how you are ready and prepared for this to give everyone a really great Q&A. There's so much to share. Hopefully, a lot of new folks are on board now. I love everyone who's in the community and has been for years or for months or for days. So thank you everybody for being part of this really cool community that we've got. Just so everybody knows, I don't have access to any of the questions. I haven't looked at anything. And during the call, I'll just be focusing on responding to the questions that Craig selects to ask. So just so everybody knows, I'm not doing anything else. It's just us.
Yeah, so we'll go through the questions that were asked on the Discord first within the first hour. And if we have extra questions and more time, we'll certainly try to go through the YouTube questions as well.
Great. Sounds good. Which is a good segue to invite people and remind people that we have a really great Discord group and people looking for information, looking to discuss the company. I encourage them to join the Discord group. There's many people that have been in the stock for a very long time, follow it closely, and can really answer a lot of questions.
Give it a couple more minutes and then we'll start this.
Sounds good. How are you doing this morning, Craig?
Feeling better. I came down with COVID this week. So took a toll on me early in the week, but getting over it. Still have a little bit of symptoms. So
I'm glad to hear that you're getting through it. I've heard stories all across the board. So
it's rough. But
yeah. I think everybody in the world, right, has been affected by it, including, my family. I've got two of our daughters. Well, we only have 2 daughters and 2 sons, but the 2 daughters both have COVID right now. No symptoms. In the company, we have been battling some staffing related challenges the last few weeks as Omicron has kind of spread. So everyone's doing okay. A lot of guys are back at work now, but it's been an extra element of challenge to manage productivity. There's been a couple things we've had to share with customers saying, hey, we need another week, and everybody is always completely understanding because everybody's dealing with it.
Everyone's dealing with it right now. It's everyone I talk to online or in person, over the phone. It's bad.
Bad right now, yeah. Hopefully we get through it soon.
Okay, so we have some people that join, so let's get this started off right. Welcome everyone to another Ask Me Anything with CEO of AITX, Steve Reinharz. My name is Craig Peterson. I'm a long-term investor of AITX. I also am a member of the board of advisors and lastly manage the official AITX Discord. Make sure to check out all the websites that we have, AITX.ai, radlightmyway.com, and the newest one, radsecurity.com. And make sure to follow Steve on Twitter. And his handle is Steve Reinharz. So we have a bunch of questions today that were submitted. We're going to go through the ones on Discord first, and then we're going to roll into the YouTube ones if we have time. Do you want to start with a background story on how the company evolved? And we'll go from there in case there's new people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And thanks for the great introduction, Craig. You've been such a huge member of our community, and speaking for the community at large, everyone owes you some gratitude for really helping. So thank you for that. I did want to open up and just share a little bit of the backstory that people might not know. So I'm going to run through it pretty quick because I know that the main event are the questions. But basically, I started the company in 2016 as an LLC, and much like most companies are founded, we bootstrapped it to start, and and then things got a little bit exciting. So I went through friends and family raise, and then things got really exciting, and I did the reverse into an OTC company, which we then later renamed to AITX. And in that process, we raised a lot of money through the public company once we got on the OTC, and we invested it all and spent it all on building that first robot that we had. And I didn't take any salary or money at all. I just kept on putting in. We just kept on, dumping money in anything that we had. Everything went into the company, and eventually, I had to pull the trigger on the robot that we had. It wasn't developed by us. It was developed by a European manufacturer, and we just couldn't get it to work right. And when that happened, and I made the announcement, um, we were pretty much deserted by everybody very quickly, and the stock went to crap. And at that point, I made a decision with my wife that we were going to continue. By all sensible judgments, we definitely would have had the right reason to say to everybody, hey guys, girls, this isn't going to work. Thank you. Hey, it's business. You try. They don't always succeed. In fact, mostly they don't. But my wife and I were so committed to this mission, so certain that these types of solutions are going to proliferate, are the future, and so committed that we were going to be a big part of this change, of this fourth industrial revolution, that we doubled down, and we sold the house, and we drained any money that we could from everybody. And I went and found every dollar I could from anybody and everybody. And we downsized in the company, and the folks who remained went on deferred salary, in some cases, severely deferred salary. So we had this team that was just crazy committed to what we were doing, and we plugged away. And I got to tell you, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done by far. I'll say that the odds were against us in every possible way. And I would say that people with any type of other judgment or sanity would have thrown in the towel. But I didn't. And I didn't, not just because of the money that I had tied up in the business, which at that point was all the money I had, and my wife, a lot of family money, a lot of friends' money, a lot of retail investors' money is also tied up in it. And I felt that it would be a horrible and insincere violation if I closed up that company and did what we did under the banner of another company. Everybody would have lost everything. And so we just went for broke on it, and we just plugged away. And Corona came, and the pennies, so to speak, that I was expecting in February of 2020 didn't come. And they didn't come in March. And we developed some technology like the face mask detection technology and our health screening option on Wally. And I used that to generate some more interest. These are private loans at this point. These are one-on-one loans that I'm out there pitching every day. And we crawled our way back. We crawled our way back to the point where I was able to show enough potential and grit, for that matter, that I was able to negotiate all the toxicity away in that pivotal December 2020 moment, which led to this incredible attention that we got from the market because we pulled off something so rare and difficult. Anyway, so I just want folks to know that part of the story. This is more than a story of, hey, we're inventing great technology and we're some well-funded VC or private equity funded company that's got no problems and unlimited runway. This is not the case. We are gritty, scrappy, guerrilla organization that understands success comes from a few simple truths. Number one, take care of the team. That's number one. Without the team, there's nothing. And number two, take care of the clients. Those are the two most important things that we've got going. And I don't know. I just wanted folks to know that. I'll be talking more about it over the next couple of weeks as well. But thanks, Craig. Thanks for letting me open up with that. And anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
I actually talked to Sam Aker, finance, the other day about this, and I sent him the note, the link to you and Dennis Crowley speaking on Dennis's podcast, The Entrepreneur Story.
Yeah,
that's a great backstory.
That's a good one. I got to make a note on that. That was an epic conversation. Dennis, who's on our board, of course, was one of the people who pitched dollars in during that time. And every dollar that I was able to raise during that period was absolutely essential. And my wife and I, it was a real bad time. We were wondering, forget about how to make rent, we're talking about how to put groceries on the table is where we were at, is how far we took this thing. So there are a lot of history in there, and sometimes folks don't want me to talk about it because everything's supposed to be rosy and perfect and corporate happiness. But you all know me. I want to share, and I want people to know the whole story. So
yeah, full transparency.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, you want to start off with the first question then?
Whatever you like.
Okay. So this one comes from Profits. First of all, thank you for the chance to ask some difficult questions. AITX has grown and expanded. When will the income offset the expenses? Given the AS and OS nearing max, as it now shows, what are the plans to meet the demands of rising costs of the expansion?
Okay, let's break that down. So there's two questions there. Before I hit them, I want to just define that Dennis is on the board of advisors, just like you are, Craig, not the board of directors. There is no board of directors. I'm technically the board of directors, so I'll get that clarification out there. Okay, first question is, when are we going to be cash flow positive, more or less? When are profits?
Basically, when will income offset the expenses? Yeah.
It's a speculative question. I have lots of different growth spreadsheets where, I plan high growth, middle growth, low growth scenarios and how that affects everything from capital purchasing, staff expansion, right? So, it's funny, I get reach out from retail investors saying, well, what's going to happen with this and what's going to happen with that? And, my answer is, there's a fluidity to it, and there's an impossibility of being precise in terms of forecasts. So that's why I lead off the response by saying that it's speculative. I think in the model that I am most comfortable with, I feel, again, depending on a variety of factors, that in the 2 to 3 year time frame, we could have revenues or gross margin exceed expenses. And that kind of marries up with my hopeful timing of an uplist to a senior exchange. And people, but again, it could be this year, it could be next year. I don't know, right? It just depends on how things go. But people are, what are we going to uplist? They always look at an uplist as this, holy grail. You're getting the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's not that simple. And oftentimes an uplist doesn't necessarily shower the OTC retail investments in gold. So because I'm committed to retail, and I prove that all the time, doing stuff like this and sharing and being transparent, connecting and working our butts off, um, I have to make sure that the timing is right so that everybody wins. Because there's always winners in any action that a CEO takes. There's always someone who wins. But it's retail that's been so important to me and built some great relationships with. And I'm hoping that timing is in the 2 to 3 year time frame. But you kind of see how coming on to NASDAQ with a steep growth in sales and profits give me that ability to create that multiple so that our valuation on NASDAQ is awesome. Right. And these are kind of the factors that people don't always know that I'm considering, but trust me, I spend a lot of time on it every day, and I have, bankers, attorneys, and accountants who work on it with me. So 2 to 3 years is what we're hoping, profits. Thanks
Okay.
for the support on the various boards where you're at as well, man. I need that. We need that. Thank you. There was a second question,
All right.
Craig, unless you feel that I didn't answer the first one fully.
No, first one's answered fully. Second one, given the AS and OS nearing max, as it now shows, what plans are ready to meet the demands of the rising cost of expansion?
Yeah, I mean, we're stockpiling cash right now, and I've stated this before, and I'll restate it, which is I want to finish the fiscal year, which is February 28th, with as much cash in the bank as possible. And I want to see if the auditors will remove their going concern statement from our OTC company. And that statement's in like every other OTC company and every Reg A company that I've ever seen as well. So I feel if we can get rid of that statement, then that'll further distinguish us, especially as we uplist to the QB. So we're stockpiling cash. We've got those 400 million shares, which again, I think I'm the only OTC CEO that is perfectly clear on dilution, i.e., raising money for the company. I don't want anyone to be caught by surprise. So the plan as it stands right now, and I say that because plans can change, what I really want to do is finish raising the money off of the last shares that I announced we would raise out of the S3. And that'll max out more or less the outstanding versus the authorized. And then what I really want to do is just chill. I don't want to touch. I don't want to do anything. We're going to have cash in the bank. We're going to have revenues coming in. We're going to be good. And I want to see where it goes. I would love to give the stock all the time to breathe, right? Everybody should know that, I'm here to build a business. I'm on a mission to build a business, and we'll raise money accordingly, and we'll do everything we need to do accordingly for that mission. This is a long-term play for us. But obviously I want to deliver short-term gains as much as I can. So the plan is to lay off and recalibrate, see where we're at. That's the best I can share right now.
Okay. Next one comes from Eric Medina, Big Poppy. So, hello, Steve. A while ago, you said you were scoping out another company similar to our position in the market to see how they do in the change of transition from OTC to NASDAQ. I think this is talking about Nightscope going public.
No, not talking about Nightscope at all.
No?
It's he's referring to a company that I didn't mention. That I didn't mention the name of, and I won't. But it's a company that has a greater sales volume than us, has much, 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 much less profitability. Low single-digit profitability with the market that they're in, and has a stated goal of reaching the NASDAQ. They hired a banker to help bring them through it. They're trying to raise some money, so they've got cash in the bank when they move to NASDAQ, right? Otherwise, they'll get slaughtered on the NASDAQ by the shorts and so forth. And so, yeah, no, it's definitely not Nightscope.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different story that I
didn't
don't see
remember that
valuable.
you saying that. That's why.
Yeah. Anyway, just to finish that off, Eric, I mean, I loosely follow it. Uh, they have like a stated share price goal that they want to hit, but at the same time, they're raising money. So, and they don't have an exponential growth model like we do. So, I don't know. I'm still watching it.
Okay. Next question from him. How is the Rad Dog integration coming along?
Um, it's good. Our engineers are talking to their engineers. I don't know the exact status as of this moment, but things are moving forward on schedule. I haven't heard anything good or bad to that end
Okay.
on that particular project.
He's got a couple different questions regarding it. Can we expect any prototype to be showcased in the near future with some minimal functionality?
I mean, near future is needs to be defined, but we're still on schedule to publicly show stuff in the summer.
Okay.
I'd like to push it up into the spring, but again, it depends. So as I've done before, I'll stick on the summer schedule.
Also, as this is being operated by Rad Technology, can all the core functionalities from other Rad products be leveraged through this device, or do we have any hardware limitations to achieve that?
Well, there's certainly hardware limitations, which is why we're building our tech into that device. This is not us slapping our label on someone else's product. We're working with them in a true technical collaboration to create something unique that suits our purposes and our customers. So a lot of our technology is going into it, and it's fully, I don't know, compatible is the right word, but it fits into the whole Rad spectrum of our stationary devices and Romeo and so forth. It's a member of the family and communicates with them all appropriately.
Okay. Last question from him about the Rad Dog. Did we identify the potential customers for this product already? If so, how excited are those to pursue it?
Forgive me. We've got some customers chomping at the bit. No, I don't know. Hopefully, YouTube land is laughing with the hilarity of that fantastic pun. Yeah, I mean, we have a pent-up market for them, of course. For sure we do. I know the next question is what are the names, and you all know the answer to that. But no, 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 no. This is
No.
like like every Rad device, it's driven by market demand, customer request.
Next question comes from Khalid. Any status updates on the airport deployments? Any of the
Eric,
two known ones, the press released one or the one that you tweeted out, a picture of two Scots?
yeah. Well, first off, Eric, thanks again for the questions. I love Rad Dog too, man. I love Rad Dog too. So thanks again. Khalid, good to hear from you. Listen, airport number one, I don't know why they haven't been deployed yet. We've had the PO for months, running through just red tape. The bureaucracy of the implementation is staggering. But there are guys working on it. They're making progress on it. They tell me, it could be any day. There's a bunch of coordination when you're working in an active airport. I've been lucky enough to work in security projects in the airports for the last 20 plus years, and it's just tough. It just takes time, more time than we wanted. This is a top airport in the United States, so they're moving tens of millions of passengers a year, and they've got their processes and the way to do things and how long it takes, and we just need to follow the process and keep pushing. So that's where we're at. So I'd like to say they'll be installed this month. I don't know. It's one of those things that you see me do from time to time, which is I always hedge, because unless it's in my real power, then I can't guarantee anything. But I'm hoping this month, if not next month. The other airport, man, that thing has been moving through the process really well. It was moving through the process really well. Initially they wanted a Thanksgiving deployment. and we were all getting all ready to do it. Paperwork didn't come through, and it was supposed to be in December, and December paperwork didn't come through, and now it's like any moment I think we can get the paperwork, any moment, and that one will go faster. It's a smaller airport. I mean, there's not many airports bigger than airport number one, but that one will go faster. It'll be in much more public view. I think everyone will be really excited about it. But I don't have that PO yet, but I've got the Scots built and ready to go.
Perfect. All right. Next question comes from Artist456. How's the production line for stand coming? Is there anything in the sales funnel so far?
No, there's nothing in the sales funnel for stand so far. You know, kind of the way the process works is we'll come up with the idea, we'll do some feasibility on how the thing is built. You know, can we build it? What's the pricing going to be? What's the market feasibility? You know, we already know there's a need, right? But one customer says, hey, I want this. I need to dive deeper before we green light it. And so where we're at right now is this week or next week, the first prototype should be coming together. The schedule for Stan is, I think that they're expecting to have built a prototype for marketing purposes this month so that we can start the marketing process. Like, not the marketing process, but taking the photos, doing the videos, building the use cases, starting to talk to early adopter customers, doing all that. So hopefully that stuff is ready for February, and they tell me that our first fully operating version is supposed to be happening in February. I think it'll be closer to March just because of how it relies on AVA 3.0, and AVA 3.0 has a lot of things happening on the software side that are on schedule. So I would advise conservatively in March, you'll see the marketing materials for it, and you'll see hopefully a couple sales, you know, from some early adopters is my expectation in March, my hope in March on Stan. But Stan's a big deal. We are going to be exhibiting at the ISC West show in Las Vegas this year, which I believe is at the end of March. And we're going to bring a Romeo, a Stan, a couple Rosa. I don't know what else we'll bring. Anyway, probably an Ava on the stand, of course. And actually, now that I think about it, the public release for Stan will be at ISC West, which is in March. So that's how it all dovetails. Okay. A lot of moving pieces. That's how it'll be. I think that we're going to submit it for some awards as well, because it gets us good exposure. So that's where we're at.
Here's a little follow-up to that from Marino Joe. Will the production of Stan be outsourced or built in-house?
Good question. You know, we've got a great team at the Rex. These folks are just fantastic machinists and assembly people. They're fantastic. And they want to build everything. You know, whatever it is, they want to build it. We have been slowly and carefully building our own internal machine shop capabilities. And the guys have found auction sites, where we're able to buy expensive machinery, you know, stuff worth $15,000, $20,000 for $500-$600.
That's incredible.
So they're bringing it in. We're buying the stuff. We're bringing it in. I think you're probably familiar with that small little area in the Rex where we had 3 machines.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been back to the Rex in a while, but apparently there's more machines now. We've been building that out. And I share this with you because we have a constant dialogue of what do we build inside and what do we send out. As far as Stan goes, we've made the decision that Stan will be built by our Detroit-based machinists. That's the decision there. In the short term, as hopefully the volume for that product grows, we'll ship it overseas where we can get it done for just a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. Just how it is. It's just a reality. I have a duty to deliver products at the best prices I can, best costs for our investors as we can. And it doesn't mean that anything will change at the Rex. You know, we've got so much work at the Rex we'll never invest in a huge production line for Stan that would impact any employment issues that we have there. Our team is our team. We spend a ton of time and money recruiting them, building them into the team, and I'm committed to them. But we like prototyping, doing small batch construction locally, and then as things get bigger, we flip it out.
Okay, next question comes from Pank. With the recent reveal of robotic solution for delivery service, are there other verticals that you have your eyes set on?
Yeah.
Anything that could come to fruition in the next 2 years?
Oh, yeah, for sure in the next 2 years. I don't want to talk about it so much on this call, Pank, just because I know Rad team members listen to this, and we actually have 17 design projects in the works right now. I think the number 17, including software and hardware projects right now, and we're slammed. So I made a commitment to them. I think in December I said no new projects. So the new projects that I have rolling around in my head, I'm going to keep in my head, and we're going to plow through those 17, which should be all done over the course of this year.
Okay. Next question from Vindictory. Can we get an update for the letters of intent for Romeo, and can we expect to see more Romeos being deployed soon?
You definitely can expect to see more Romeos deployed soon. Certainly. And there might be some cool press on that coming up. I don't know. The LOIs, I'm just not that close to it. I couldn't tell you. We have a couple extra layers in the company now. I'm not involved in the day-to-day sales anymore. So I can't follow up on everything. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that right now.
Okay. Next question from Shred Guitar God. In the future, I see demand exceeding the number of units you can produce by hand. What are your plans to increase production?
Well, let's use Rosa as an example, right? At some point this month or next month, definitely within the next 45 days, we're going to place that order for the 1,000 Rosa shells. And working with our production team, we're going to be producing on a regular basis anywhere from 60 to 120 a month, which is very, very cool. So, just like if a customer needed to deploy 100 units, hopefully soon, they don't all get the 100 units at once. We've got to coordinate with the sites and plan, and the deployment takes time. So similarly, the production time gets to take time as well. So answering the question, our recs can definitely pop out 1,000 to 2,000 Rosas a year pretty easily without much stress. We could pop out lots of Romeos a year, before we start getting really taxed. So I feel very comfortable that out of that factory as it sits, we could do all devices together, about 1,500 devices a year, which could translate into, I don't know, a lot of monthly recurring revenue, a lot. So beyond that quantity, plus or minus, 1,500 to 2,500 a year, quite frankly, I just haven't thought that far into the future. So I don't have an intelligent or thought out explanation or response to you past those numbers.
Okay. Any automation or of assembly, perhaps?
We're already looking into it.
Okay.
My expectation is as we grow, we will open a second Detroit facility. And that's kind of our commitment to that. But again, that's very fluid and flexible. There's so many things that can happen between then and now. Like I said, we're investing in machinery. We're not investing in any autonomous or automated machinery yet, but we will. A lot of it comes with how the devices are designed. So initially, the Rad 1.0 and 2.0 devices were specifically designed to be handmade. So you got to build them by hand. The 3.0 device line now has the option for some automated building. We're not executing on that yet. But just to kind of share with you, it's not like, oh, you got a cool device, let's have a machine build it. The process starts early, And the organization needs to have some experience and time and tenure in order to do that. And that's part of the capital that the company is building, is that know-how. So I don't know, we'll see. But it's great. I love that office. I love that team, and we're keeping them busy.
Next one comes from Vindictory. What are you most excited about going into 2022?
Wow, Vindictory, good question. What am I most excited about? I mean, I I'm excited about moving this company into the national dialogue. I'm excited about elevating this company's stature globally into a company that more and more people look at and look towards. What are they doing? And really establishing our leadership. Some of you know, because you've heard me say, I have, some executive calls on Sundays. So, one of my executive calls, we're looking at another company, and this happens all the time, but so much of the language and wording and direction from a lot of these other companies comes from us, comes from the writings that we've done, over the past year or over the past few years. That puts us in the leadership position. What I want to do is elevate that acknowledgement of our leadership, because I think it's going to attract more eyes to the company for customers. I think it's going to attract more eyes to the company for retail investors, and again, works towards that plan of uplisting to NASDAQ. So that excites me a lot. But there's more that excites me. Another thing that excites me is the professional development and growth of our team, all the members of our team, and how they've already been growing and how they're going to continue to grow. And me watching their success and playing a small part in it is incredibly satisfying. So I'm looking forward to that. I think those are probably the two greatest things that I'm looking forward to this year, 2022.
Does the
Good question. Thanks for making me think. That was good.
Here's like kind of a follow-up from Pank. Does the company have a New Year's resolution?
No.
No.
No, I wouldn't use New Year's or any calendar date as a time to readjust or make any resolutions. We're operating on a constant flow. There's no imaginary date where we're like, hey, let's see what we're doing and let's change it. No, we do that every day.
Okay. Here's one from Denver. Please discuss the maintenance ease or difficulties of Romeo version 2.0. Do you have any plans for YouTube maintenance videos?
No, I have no plans for YouTube maintenance videos. There's some cool things that Romeo does that we're going to keep under wraps until such time as we feel like revealing. Romeo 2.0 is built with this really cool modular kind of focus. So from a maintenance standpoint, a lot of it is, unplug and replace, try and make the field repairs as quickly and easy as possible. And then we have a couple cool things in Romeo, and I think we may have showed this at the Rex, so I'll share it with you. But after you remove the utility covers on the sides of Romeo, there's an electronic stack inside underneath the turret. And this is cool, but it actually slides out on sliders so that we have the ability to maintenance on it, to wrench on it as needed. So a lot of changes like that between 1.0 and 2.0. And 3.0 will even be better. But we got to finish getting 50 or 100 2.0s out first.
Okay.
And it's not like we start with 2.0. It's like the 2.0 that we have. I think we're going to do a 10 unit production run. And then the 2.1 is already under design. And then the 2.0 is already being thought of. So we'll go through a few iterations on the 2.0.
Okay. Is the battery easy to remove and replace?
Yeah, the batteries, there's 4 batteries in it, are, relatively easy to remove and replace. We designed it like that, but you got to get underneath it to do it. So you gotta run it up a little ramp and then pull it out. I don't know. They may have changed that. That was the last time that I kind of was involved or followed that level of detail.
Okay. Last one from Denver about Romeo. Would you be able to discuss the pros and cons in switching from the Lithium ion to the nickel cobalt manganese battery.
No, I wouldn't be able to talk about that at all. Just not my area of expertise. I will share that the team did exhaustive battery analysis and tests, and we spent tens of thousands of dollars testing different batteries and deciding on what we were going to go with before we went with it. And a large part of the conversation with who we went with had to do with supply. So we definitely had some supply challenges with the batteries, even though we had selected them because of their availability. And some of that just went back to two factors that we have to deal with, which is logistics and supply chain challenges, and battling for cobalt in terms of who's got the cobalt, who's building the batteries, where can we get them. Um, that's been a challenge for us.
Okay. Next question from Jarmus18. Can we expect to see some form of revenue guidance expectation for the next fiscal year within the 10K, similar to what was noted in the previous year 10K?
Maybe. I mean, I was happy to put that guidance in there in the last 10K. So that was great. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I can tell you right now that if I do, my expectations will still almost match the last K, which is a 5 to 15 times increase in revenue, is what I'm personally looking forward to. So I might put that back in the K as well. We'll see.
Okay. Next question from Marino Joe. As CEO with the company and growing fast, how do you decide what other company to pursue or what you want to pursue?
My first preference in terms of you talk is that referencing from acquisition standpoint or what we develop or customer
It's
side?
kind of broad, I guess, whatever, acquisition or what you want to build, how you want to grow the company.
From an acquisition standpoint, we're hampered in that sense with cash. So, I've stated earlier in the call where I want to be on cash and why on February 28th. So I can't go around spending zillions of dollars buying people. I mean, hey, when our market cap was $700 million, we would be in another situation, which is why the PPS is so important to me, which is why the market cap is so important to me, which is why all the retail investors are so important to me. Right now, there is one kind of company, or let's say one technology that I am looking at very closely, and I would say we're in negotiations. I wouldn't ask anybody to get particularly excited about it, but I'm just answering the question. Other than that, my focus is on those 17 internal projects, driving our own technology, building our own piece. There are a couple companies that I would like to buy that are profitable and I think need us. But I need to have much more cash on hand in order to do that.
Okay. Next question from Bronx Golf Guy. When the PR regarding the development of the delivery bot was released, it stated that this bot had been a request from clients. If this is the case, why wouldn't AITX partner with said clients on the development of the bot so the cost of the development could have been shared among the companies?
Who says we aren't? Kind of presumptuous there, expecting that we aren't, Listen, I have a duty to share what I think is notable news as it develops, and that I think is notable news. We'll see how this year goes in terms of any partnerships that'll be released. I am hoping that since we're moving into a non-security related field, that the customers will be more excited about sharing and less restricted and concerned. That's part of the strategy that I mentioned earlier in terms of uplifting us into more of a national dialogue. We have one customer, Romeo customer, who is so excited about getting the Romeo that they want to do they want to feature a series of Romeo getting built and stuff, which is like, we're like, yeah, let's do that. I love that. So our chief marketing officer is working with their marketing department on how that's going to look and how that's going to feel. So I think that that'll actually start. I think that'll hit the airwaves in January is my expectation. So that's kind of cool. But the delivery robot stuff is early stage. I needed to make the announcement. I needed to make sure that our investors and followers knew that we're working on that. But beyond that, largely our focus is going to continue on building the revenue side of the business, and information on that delivery robot will come out as it's relevant. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be more descriptive on it, but it's early stage and things I would say would be more speculative than helpful.
Okay. Next question comes from Pank. Will the robotic dog be built at the Rex?
We're in discussions on that right now. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I will tell you that the rad elements will be built at the Rex. So whether we build it from scratch and put our stuff in it during that build process, that's what we're discussing. But otherwise, we'll get it and we'll put our stuff on it at the Rex then.
Okay. Next question from Marino Joe. I love the new website tracking features. Will there be a sales breakdown by units sold?
No, we thought about it, talked about it, dismissed it. Just granular from that level doesn't serve us any purpose, and just couldn't open up a spin of speculation that is not helpful.
Okay. Next one from Lord Eric. When you make a sale from Light My Way, will you announce those customers distinctly or just from a pure Rosa standpoint?
Oh, we'll announce that it's a Rad Light My Way customer, 100%. And that's another kind of piece that should, again, elevate us, that Rad Light My Way application. So we have a couple early adopters in the works on it. We're going to be putting more information on the website this month. And I think from a college campus standpoint, I think we'll be in good shape for the start of school year next year. And then we'll see what we're doing on the corporate campuses and in other verticals right now as well. But Rad Light My Way, because the companies themselves that use it need to tell their staff members and visitors that it exists, I think that removes the bonds of secrecy, because they'll have to publicize it for their purposes. And I think that'll be exciting. I think we'll be able to build our logo card pretty nicely with some big names as that hits the road.
Okay. Follow-up question from Common to Lord Eric about Light My Way's question is, can an existing customer just add Light My Way through an over-the-air update?
Yeah.
Or does it need planning and a layout of additional devices?
Oh, yeah, you could add it, you could turn it on. That is going to be a revenue producing solution for us. I'm not going to start charging for it for the next year or two, because it's a super competitive advantage for us. And I got to tell you, it's one of those things where it's like really a software development project with relatively low cost compared to some of the other development projects that we have in. But eventually we're going to move to kind of a per head or a batch revenue model, and maybe tie it into, say, employees process onboarding and offboarding processes, or student onboarding and offboarding processes. Right now, I just want to get it in people's hands as quickly as possible. I want people to use it. I want people to love it. And I want to create momentum with it.
So Shark's Mom 2 actually asked a question. How does this work with the pricing of the units? Does it increase the unit fee, or is there a separate fee for just Light My Way?
Right now, there's no additional fees for it. Eventually, there will be a per head or a batch purchasing recurring fee for it. Yep.
Okay.
And that'll be great on the revenue side too, because there's virtually no additional cost to the company. It's just pure clean revenue coming in almost.
Next one comes from Oscar. I'm pretty sure you covered it, but are there any plans to utilize the S3 device after the current one is exhausted?
Oscar, hey man, I hope you're doing well back in Florida. So using the S3 shelf registration fundraising method, past what point, Craig?
Probably this latest round of 400 million shares.
Yeah, for sure, for sure there is. How and when, I don't know. Like I said earlier, but for sure, we'll just see. Like I said, if the stock can, first of all, I'll reiterate, and we've proven this all year long, dilution doesn't always equal stock loss or stock drops. There are many different types of dilution. But when we're selling shares to institutional investors at anywhere from 8% to 15% under market value, which is, I think, pretty much where we're at with um, these guys aren't flooding the market with shares. There's like, I need people to understand this. This isn't a toxic dilution situation where the funders can just print your shares until they get their money. It's not that situation. So, um, that said, we did the no reverse split formal announcement. For whatever reason, we've formalized. Well, I guess we all know the reasons. So we'll see. We'll see. I just want to see how things go. I'd love to have some great announcements this month, see the stock go up, and be able to raise a lot more money with with very little impact on the stock price, but give us the money to continue to grow and build. So I don't know. It's fluid, Oscar. I know you'll be around to watch the progress.
Okay. Next question comes from the great Urbinski. With the official pending PR that you expect in January 2022 for the 1,000 rows of shell orders, how soon do you think AITX will be able to sell those? Any letters of intent in the pipeline?
I'd like to sell all 1,000 this calendar year, is what I'd like to do, but I'd like to sell them all in January, right?
Mhm.
Let's be honest. I'd like to sell them all on Monday. I'd like to take the order in. I think that selling them all in 2022 is a real possibility. Um, I think the funnel supports it, or rather, I see the funnel support it. I see the devices support it. I see the devices working. I always have to be tentative and cautious, conservative, realistic in how I answer these questions and what I really think, but it's what I think. So yeah, I mean, I think we could sell them all in 2022. We'll see.
Have you started to develop 4.0 yet?
No,
No.
no, 3.0 is kind of, we've gone from like 3.0 to 3.1. So the 3.1 is going to be the unit that we pull the 1,000 shell order on. So we're doing small batch production of the 3.0. I mean, you can, yeah, I mean, depends on how you want to look at it, because we always have these naming questions, right? So it's 3.0, we're probably 3.02, 3.05, 3.08. You can maybe say that the 1,000 unit will be 3.2. It evolves, right? You get a batch, you work with it, you refine it, you fix it, So we do this in small batches, and then when we're comfortable, hey, this is the best way to do 3.0, all elements considered, let's get 1,000. And that's when we pull the trigger. And that's why I'm saying that we'll either pull that trigger in January or February, depending on how those little incremental development pieces fit in.
Okay. The great Urbinski asks, for Dave, the delivery robot, you've mentioned to be completed by 2022. Is there any letters of intent? And have you seen any interest from potential new clients that have a need for last mile delivery? Example, a pizza delivery company.
So I greenlit the delivery vehicle based on customer request. So there's definitely customer interest. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the other elements of that question?
Have you began to see interest from potential new clients that have a need for last mile delivery?
No,
Out of
we haven't.
curiosity, any pizza delivery companies?
No, and no. We're just not there on the sales process yet. So, I've got some ideas on that I'm not ready to share yet. So kind of like similar to the other questions on the delivery vehicle project, I'd rather wait till things mature and develop a little bit more before sharing more.
Okay. With the triple amount of sales in the pipeline from a year ago, how many of those are proposals of 50 or more devices?
Hmm. Uh, I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't give you a specific number. I would say that, we've been working with customers that all have a lot of potential, that have been signature clients in new industries. And when we're tracking things in our sales tracking platform, we have a couple categories, that sales team members can choose to use or not use, right? One of them is kind of like, what's the immediate opportunity? I have another column, what's the 12-month opportunity? What's the 36-month opportunity for that particular account? And we don't really use it that much because you're kind of guessing a bit, right? But I don't know. I would say dozens and dozens of the clients in the funnel right now and that exist in Rad's universe right now have potential for hundreds of units.
We're approaching the 1 o'clock hour. Are you still good to keep going?
Yeah, I'm having fun. I love the questions. They're
We've
great
got
questions.
we got a bunch more to go through. So,
All right, let's go. Let's go.
okay. All right. From your buddy P Wall 52.
Hmm.
There are numerous articles and challenges that have been raised around artificial intelligence bias. What, if anything, has AITX implemented to ensure there is limited to no bias included in the development of the AI software?
Great question, Paula. A whole question for a whole nother discussion. I'll answer the question by saying that the AI that we use doesn't really have capability for bias. We're not doing tremendous distinctions. So the bias that we could have would be, hey, how are we identifying humans, and are we applying any, racial or stereotypical elements to sort the humans and react to them differently? So that would be an element that we could do. We do not do that. Every human is every human, period. So we don't have bias from that element. The other element of bias would come from the mobility side, where you have, a moving vehicle. I call the question, and we've all probably seen it before, but I call the question, who dies, in terms of a moving vehicle. Do the passengers go to risk in the vehicle, or do pedestrians or another vehicle go at risk, right? These are questions. And again, I'll say we don't have to answer those questions because we don't carry passengers. And in every case, we're super, uber, super safe as our primary goal. So from those types of larger AI questions, we don't really have to answer them because we're not in that space. But I'll take the opportunity and I'll share that there is absolutely ingrained bias in a ton of the AI systems that are out there. And I would encourage, everyone who's listening and following and thinks about these questions to be aware, be involved. And, we have to have, systems in place, which really for me revolve around transparency. There's already stories coming of some, ingrained, racist or bias type systems and how they apply just in software space to different users. And it's an issue. And it's going to be, I think, a conversation that's going to continue for decades.
Okay. Another question from him. When you pitch potential clients, I'm sure there are financial and non-financial related statistics that you share with them. I understand this may not be easily quantifiable and is somewhat hard to aggregate, but are there non-financial related statistics that you could share or planning to share?
From a non-financial statistics standpoint, the client is really providing those to us. And those could be, in general, or the most frequent type of statistics that are shared with us are really, hey, I got 40% of my open security guard positions that I can't fill. I need to fill them. How can you help me? That's
So,
where we love to live. That's music to our ears.
so those clients giving you feedback helps you with like the crimes detected, prevented, and it also helps further the value proposition of Rad products then when you go to pitch
Absolutely,
the next
absolutely,
one.
yeah. That's what we want, like we don't really sell, we provide solutions that customers want. And there's a big distinction. So we want to, and we do team up with our customers, want to understand their business, understand their pain points, see how we can help. And that's how we try to partner with our customers. That's really the core of us creating strong relationships with our customers. We have a whole team, our client services team that does that beyond what the business development team does.
Okay. Here's one from Look for the Helpers. Hi, Steve. I was wondering when the employee stock option program that was referenced in the town hall will go into effect for Rad employees. I ask as an investor because I think employees are much more likely to be long-term shareholders of the stock. I also think it demonstrates a lot of confidence in the company when employees, given the option, are purchasing shares in the company they work for.
Yeah, 2022 is the year that we promised we would deliver the ESOP details to the team. We got the program filed, through the SEC and so forth last year. And at that time, we said 2022 would be the year, and we're still on that schedule. I don't believe that we are going to make shares available for purchase by employees. We will be, and we haven't figured out, I believe that our ESOP plan is 77 pages or something like that. And me and the CFO haven't gone into how we're going to structure the particular ESOP plan for the team members. But in my mind, it's going to be, shares, options, or warrants for the team, and get awards regularly, and they won't, they'll vest over a period of time. But even so, the way that I structured that ESOP is that more or less, and I'm just thinking to make sure I use the right words here, but the idea is that the vesting is going to take 4 years. And within that period, you need to stay with Rad, otherwise you lose everything that you were given. And then I got to figure out how we're going to allow conversion or use of those after 4 years. And we have to figure out, hey, if we do that NASDAQ uplisting in 2 to 3 years, what happens and how is that affected, right? So we're sorting through that this year. Last year, we had a set of priorities to work through, which we did. This year, similarly, on the accounting and administrative side, we have a set of priorities to work through, and that's one of them.
Okay. Another one from Look for the Helpers. Has the deployment of the electrical utility company occurred yet? And if so, has any feedback from that customer?
Hasn't occurred yet, so I don't have any feedback. Status of the implementation, I don't have exactly at hand. I haven't particularly tracked the implementation of that platform, but my job is the pinnacle of problem solving. So problems and challenges are what I work through every day, and if it's not on that list, then nothing bad's happening. So very excited about that one. We did sales team member kind of 2022 planned presentations on Friday with the existing sales team members. And one of them is going to focus on leveraging the work from that particular client to other utilities. So that's pretty cool. And we've got 2 more salespeople starting tomorrow, and a third one starting on the 17th.
Wow, growing quick. All right, next question from R. Bob. I'm concerned with how quickly AITX has gone through the authorized shares during their funding raise. So with there only being 500 million shares left, maybe less considering the 400 million shares for delivery robot, how is AITX going to continue financing itself? Is there a potential authorized share increase?
Well, there's certainly a potential authorized share increase. I mean, no question about it. Whenever you have an OTC company, you have potentials for reverse splits and for authorized increases. And you see them happen fairly regularly across a lot of different tickers. I've been looking at other OTC companies that have authorized much greater than ours, and seeing the effect on the shares. And it really comes down to, for me, how are you raising that money? Are you raising it through toxic, super dilutive notes that crush shareholders and push you into reverse, right? And that happens all the time. That's why the OTC is so fearful of the reverses, because so many people have been crushed by them. I get it. I talk about it. I'm not shy about it. I want people to know. But again, if you're raising money at a slight discount to market, like 8 to 15%, like we do, then I got to look at it and I got to say, okay, well, hey, we got an extra $10 million in the bank, and hey, we put out 100 million shares. We would do that all day long, and I think every investor, or I would expect and hope every retail investor, to be perfectly okay with that bargain, because cash is king. So, like I said, I want to have no new shares in the market as we approach the 5 billion, which more or less means after we finish the 400 million. And I want to see how things go, because for every investor here, for everybody that follows our company, from our customers, our employees, discounting shares at 2 cents for 100 million shares is a completely different world than discounting a 10-cent share by 10 or 15% at 100 million shares. We're talking obviously 5 times the amount of cash in the bank. So just letting everybody know, hopefully when we say, hey, there's nothing else going on, even though us selling shares into the market at a small discount, or our investors selling shares into this small discount, doesn't affect anything. There's the psyche. Anyway, we'll get through it. So I rambled a little bit. I hope I hit the heart of the question. The core answer is you've got insight into some of the factors that I'm balancing in my head to be able to make the decisions as they require to be made.
Okay. Another follow-up from him. With the price per share dropping, are you at all concerned about not being able to uplist to the QB, considering the 1 cent requirement? Do you have any plan in place in case this does happen?
I don't have any plan in place, just so everybody knows, and I don't expect the price to fall as low as it's fallen. So I haven't spent 10 seconds on any type of contingency for that at all. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to. I mean, we all know we can't predict the price of the share, but I'm not going to spend any time on it. I'm going to be optimistic and focus on building this business and keeping the team informed, and hopefully getting 10 cents and beyond.
Okay. Next question from Absolutely. If a company offered to acquire AITX, at what valuation price would you sell it?
$1 billion. I'll take offers anytime. Limited time offer.
Here's a question from Common.
And by the way, just to add some color on that and not be super snarky on it, it's a legitimate question, and that is my legitimate answer. Until this company reaches, a sustainable, realistic, analyst-certified market cap of at least $1 billion, I don't have any interest in selling.
Okay. Question from Common. You spoke in December about 2 things you are excited about and were pushed back. Can you provide any update to these?
Yes, I can say that one of them came through, and we've got the signature on the document, and we got it last week.
That's great.
And it's one of the items that I talked about would be press released shortly. So, yep, yes, and yes.
Okay. Next one from Wild Horse 1966. As we know, the social media person left the company last month. Are you looking for a replacement or have found one?
Yeah. Joe Really enjoyed working with him and learned a lot from him. I think he learned a lot from us. He's going on to some cool new activities in New York, which he's really excited about and which we fully support. So I'm happy for him, because I'm a people person first. So very excited for him. Doug, our chief marketing officer, and I do discuss backfilling that role, maybe making it more of a marketing director role. We've had an ad out for a while, and I've got hundreds of resumes to go through. But Doug and I just kind of bounce back and forth on it. I'm not super thrilled with adding another head into that department right now. We've got Doug and a couple other resources that are just hitting their stride. I mean, Doug's full speed, but the other resources are hitting their stride, and we're getting good productivity, and we have a small network of contractors that assist as well. So I think we're okay for now. I'm not in any rush. If the right person came around, I would always want to take a look, but we don't have a pressing need to fill it.
Okay. Next question from Oscar. Are you looking at any acquisitions in the first half of 2022? And for what purpose?
Yeah, I'm looking at one right now, which is super early stage in terms of what their technology is. And like I said, we're in negotiations with them right now. So I mean, these kinds of negotiations are always touch and go, and it could go either way. One thing as a buyer is, can't fall in love with a target. I just make bad decisions, and we're definitely not in love.
Okay.
This target, if acquired, I think would be cool. If we do acquire it, I would think hard about how I'm going to announce that. I might, depending on what legal and auditors allow me to do, keep it anonymous. Like make the announcement that we made an acquisition and the terms and details of the acquisition, but not necessarily share what or why, just because I'm sensitive on OTC, picking something up and running with it and creating a pump that then in turn costs shareholders money as the stock settles. So we'll see. I'm very interested in it. And I'd like to do a deal. I spoke to them this past Friday. It was my last call of the day. And I said to them, hey, there's a deal here for us to make. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And you guys come back to me. The reason why I'm sharing the story with you is because I'm thinking like over here, and they're thinking over here.
Mm-hmm.
So the chasm is so wide that it requires them to fundamentally reevaluate what they have. And if they do, great, we can talk. If they don't, no problem. That's where we're at.
Okay. Here's a question from I believe a newer member, Denomination. How large is your direct and channel sales teams each?
Well, welcome to the community. We have after the 17th, we'll have 7 full-time salespeople on salary. I'm just counting in my head. Plus senior VP of sales, plus our president, Mark, plus me, dabbling and driving opportunities and building new things. So that's kind of the core sales team, which is a good sized sales team. It takes about 6 months for a sales team member to get up to full speed. There's a lot to learn. And then we have our client services team, which helps sell to existing customers. And I think there's 5 or 6 members on that team as well, but they just service existing customers and onboarding new customers.
Okay.
From a channel standpoint, we've got Mark and 2 of the salespeople that will manage different channel partners. And then one of the salespeople, as part of his plan that he presented, will see if his role will grow into being more of a formal channel manager across all dealers.
Okay. Here's another question. What sort of sales targets do you have per individual and for the company by quarter in 2022?
Well, you know, like I said, on Friday we went through sales plan review, and I don't put quotas on sales team members. Quotas, I just think, are dumb, because the job is sell as much as you can all the time. So as a professional salesperson myself, I have a quota. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Do I stop at $10 million in sales? Right? Like, what happens then? Like, I've just never liked that part of the process. So we don't have quotas per se. Instead, what we do is we want our business development leaders to focus in on what they have in terms of funnel and where they're going to grow and build their funnel, and then to apply some numbers as to what this might look like at the end of the day. And I think that right now, with the team that we have, and they were very conservative. They were too conservative, and that's fine. That's how you do it. But I think that we should push out hundreds and hundreds of units this year, maybe even 1,000 is my hope this calendar year, especially with the new folks coming on. One of them, which is very well connected guy. So we'll see. But I'm looking at it. It's a big number. I'm hoping for at least 500 to 1,000 units calendar 2022.
Okay. He also asks, what's your gross and net margin per device, and what sort of subscription money do you anticipate earning per unit over its lifetime?
Gross and what was the first part of the question?
Gross and net margin per device.
Well, net margin isn't a question that could be answered right now, because we don't have a positive net margin across the company, so I can't do the calcs on that to bring that back to the particular device. Our gross margins are all very, very, very healthy. I think the last Q, I want to say we were at about 80% gross margin. That's one of the reasons why you could argue our valuation is low. You can argue that we should be valued like a software company, like a pure SaaS model company, because our margins are like that. What was the second part of the question? It was
what sort of subscription money do you anticipate earning per unit over its lifetime?
It just depends on the device. We amortize the devices over 4 years, even though internally we expect them to live for 5 years. Just from an accounting conservative standpoint, we amortize them over 4 years, which slightly increases our expenses with the depreciation, and lowers the profitability of the unit, but I think it's the right thing to do. But it varies on device. Each device has its own pricing, its own cost. Of course, it changes as we get better at building devices. We've got price targets on a production standpoint of where I'd like each price to be, but that requires quantity, which requires sales. So it's a good question for us in a year, perhaps, when we've built more units, deployed more units, have more regular production, have tighter control. Right now, a little early for us.
Okay. Bronx Golf Guy asks, seeing Nightscope obtain a few contracts for indoor mobile bots, have you considered or will you consider developing indoor mobile bot? Seems casinos would be perfect for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not certain that casinos are the right choice for those devices for indoor bots. But yeah, no, certainly. It's on the roadmap.
It was in the town hall.
Yeah. It's one of the 17 projects.
From Eric Medina. Hi, Steve. In how many countries do you think AITX could reach?
Hi, Eric. Well, the way we look at it right now is North America being Canada and the United States and Mexico. We have some stuff early stage starting in Mexico on Monday. A resource that's not included in our salesperson count, but someone who's well connected in that space and is going to leverage one of those big announcements that I said we were going to do. So that'll be kind of cool. So, obviously North America, we've got a strong relationship with our Romanian partner in Eastern Europe, and I hope to make at least one visit out there this year. We're talking about pushing some production to his unit in order to help with some EU requirements and pricing and costing and those elements. So that's very exciting what we've got going on in Europe from an early stage, and some different things happening in the UK. So from my perspective, North America being including Mexico plus the UK, mainland Europe, Eastern Europe are definitely our primary target areas. US number one overall. We get inquiries from folks in Africa and the Middle East, and some Singaporean reach out to represent them in those areas. And from the Africa side, I'm not overly interested at this time. I can only bite off so much, so I have to stay somewhat focused. Even though if you look at our list and you look at all I do, you might say that we're not very focused, but we're just focused in a lot of areas with a lot of intensity. The Middle East piece is interesting, and I get routine inquiries, I would say, on a weekly basis, in terms of folks saying, "Hey, I want to bring you into Jordan, and from Jordan we can go to the rest of the Middle East, or Oman, or any one of those countries." So a lot of the times it's a single person who's excited about AITX technology and has, ideas on how to create a company around it in the Middle East. And those types of people, as much as I'm happy with that they're excited, they're not suitable candidates for us. For us to invest our time, we need to partner with real companies that have real channels and connections in that geography in order for us to be successful. So we're very selective. There's one Middle East company who appears to meet my requirements in terms of establishment and connections and size and reach. And I was supposed to have a call with them last week. I had to push it. I think it's rescheduled for this week. And that's Middle East. So maybe that'll be our Middle Eastern partner. I don't know. That's where we're at.
Okay.
But from an Asia standpoint, because that's probably part of the follow-up question, it's just not in the focus right now for no particular reason other than our hands are full.
Okay. Here's a question from Rocco 20. Any progress on a potentially large opportunity in Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Rocco. It's need to know basis. But the answer is yes.
Okay. Here comes one from Pank. Can you explain the benefits of being SOC 2 compliant? And the ISO 27001 was mentioned in the PR as a goal. Are there any other compliances on the horizon as well? Example, FedRAMP?
Yeah, for sure. Rocco, listen, just bouncing back to that question. It's just hard sometimes when I'm asked these questions and I can't share because I really want to, but I can't, right? So just letting you know, it's going really well. It'll all come out at some point. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. Paul, SOC 2, we approached it from the standpoint of legitimately wanting to jump into that process, to understand it and use it as a template to improve all aspects of our operation at SOC 2 touches. So what that means is I used it, and working with Gilles Norton, our SOC 2 consultant and auditor, to bring in these world-class best practices to every element of the company. And I made a big deal of it because it is a big deal. Because being in a high-growth company, you can lose sight of, hey, if I'm dealing with a Fortune 25 company, what are they going to need, and what are their requirements, and how do I match up with that, right? You're sometimes so focused on getting the sale and then you get stopped by an obstacle during the purchasing process because you're not compliant on information handling or security or whatever. So I love that SOC 2 process. I will share with you, Paul, as I'm sure you understand, it was painful. It was pretty dreadful. It really required a lot of change and improvement across the company, which I'm so happy about. But during the process was pretty bad, hard, because I'm not an admin guy. I'm a push forward guy. So I have really had to use some discipline to make sure that the process went well. But led by Tony Brenz, process went great. Again, great auditor, Gilles Norton. Amazing guys, and a lot of ups and downs throughout the process. But we're a lot stronger as a company, and I feel comfortable talking to anybody now on their same level because I know that SOC 2 has put us in this top category. We can talk to any customer. So that's what it's done for us. Where are we going to go from here? Well, we've started the SOC 2 Type 2 audit. So we're executing the list of management concerns that were given to us. And those will be implemented over the first quarter calendar year this year. And then we'll be audited, for the following 3 months and 6 months after that. So that'll be cool to have that ongoing audit relationship and just demonstrates our commitment to being world-class. The ISO 30017 or I forget.
27001. 27001.
Yeah. Before we do that, we've got to get EU certified. We've got to get the CE from EU. Now, a lot of these things kind of dovetail together, right? Because if we've got CE, then we'll just branch that out and get UL. Now we've got U, right? So there's different elements. But the focus from a development standpoint is edge device security and changing from Windows at the edge to Linux at the edge. And then from there, we'll probably do, well, of course, we'll do the EU certifications. Those have to start this month. And then maybe 27001. So a lot of them are up in the air. But I'm really happy with it. We're committed to it. I think it distinguishes us. And I think that's the level that we have to operate to capture the customers that we want.
Okay. From Oscar, aside from Rosa shells, have you kept ahead of the supply chain curve to keep up with the anticipated demand this year?
I mean, the hard to get products, we've been stockpiling for a year. So we don't have logistics problems in that sense. The batteries for Romeo have been a problem, but they've come in. So that's good. I was really worried on some of the deployments for January if we would be in time, but the guys managed to get them. Beyond that, there were logistics problems early on that we dealt with and worked through, like I had said on previous calls. From a supply standpoint right now, I'm not seeing anything affecting us. And for us, shipping has also been relatively smooth. We've had a couple things off the coast for a couple extra weeks, which has been annoying. But beyond that, we seem to be okay right now. Customer called us last week, said, hey, I need 2 Rosas. We said, no problem. We put them on a plane. They had them the next day. They're going in on Monday. It hasn't been press released yet. So that's really good, right? That's really good. So we're doing okay.
Okay. Another question from Oscar. Do you see municipalities making orders this year? And are there any in discussions?
Yeah, there's one big one in discussion right now. I'll tell you, we go back to red tape, right? Over the years, people have asked me, why don't you go after this or that client or this or that client? And, you've seen my responses, Craig. Mm-hmm. I talk about low-hanging fruit. And any government agency is not low-hanging fruit. Not from the point of view of them having a need and the funding, which is generally the 2 things that we look for, right? Need and funding, boom, we're there. Let's sell you some stuff. It's, the process is exhaustive. And it's not a process that we can't get through. It's just a process of saying, hey, we're going to go through this process at the cost of not doing these things with these particular lower hanging fruit, right? Like that's the decision we have to make. Now we have one municipality, large municipality, one of the largest in the United States, and we have a council member who is a huge fan of what we're doing and has a huge need and has the money. And I've been talking to various council people on that in that city over the course of the last year, as well as the chief of police and a few other people on the command staff. So we're clear to go, and now I think they're wrestling over who's going to pay for it, where's the money going to come from. It's not that there's not money, there's just who's going to pay for it. Is the council person going to pay for it out of his discretionary funds? There's a lot of different options on it. So that's where we're at with that particular right now. And following our strategy, I try to open one significant signature customer in a vertical, concentrate on it, and then it makes everybody else, hopefully follow along if we choose the right signature customer and we do a good enough job. The exciting thing about the municipality is that it's public and we can talk about it. And that's a big deal for us, of course, as I continue to try to elevate us and bring more eyes to the company.
Okay. Sounds promising.
Yeah, no, it's been hanging. I mean, it's right there. It's right there for us.
Look for the helpers. Ask any new updates on Arrow that you can share.
No new updates on it. It's in the 17, but we haven't made any real progress on it.
Okay. I think it's the last question from Dewey. Updates on larger deals expected to drive growth in 2022.
I mean, it'd be speculative, right? I did a press release last month, or I did some kind of announcement last month that we gave a couple 3-digit proposals out the door. There's probably been more since then. But really, with all due respect, because I'd love to, share, I don't want to say pumpy style news, but we're working really hard. And like I said, I think that I know we're going to have a really good sales year this year.
Okay. That's all the questions on the Discord. I haven't been looking at the YouTube.
I haven't either. I hope everyone who's still with us is are liking these questions and answers. These are great questions. So whoever's tuned in, thank you for your time on this Sunday. I think Craig looks like he's deep thought, looking at some YouTube questions to bring up.
Yeah, I'm looking at some. Here's one from Anthony Ashton. Morning, great products, Steve. Like your vision with all the security companies out there, like ADT, et cetera. How different is AITX security system and what advantages do you have over them?
Well, I mean, ADT reps a whole lot of products, and I forget how they were split up when Tyco split up, if they still own any of the manufacturing plants. So I'm not sure what they own, but under the old umbrella, they had a lot of products that they made themselves and sold themselves under the ADT panel. I think alarm panels, maybe some fire stuff, different types of sensors. I think they owned a company called American Dynamics that was cameras and recorders and stuff like that, right? So they're quite a conglomerate back in the day. Again, haven't kept up with them. So it's hard for me to put context to your question because ADT is a big company, but let's say that the context is their burglar alarm panel, right? Like burglar alarm goes off and, they call you and then the police come maybe. We want to be ahead of that. We want to tell the person who might be about to do something bad that it's probably a bad idea and you shouldn't do it. So that's where we're at. We want to take it from being reactive to proactive. I'll leave it like that, but that's the big change that we're bringing to this industry is let's use AI to be proactive. And thanks asking the question. If you go to AITX.ai, there'll be a lot of info, blogs that you can read about that. And I just want to circumvent otherwise I'll give a huge answer and no one else on YouTube will be able to get their questions answered. And I want to get to them, but check it out from there. And I hope what I shared gives you a start.
Have there been additions to any of the Fortune, let's say 25 companies?
Yes.
So there's been multiple reorders.
Yes, there's been at least one. And, you know, when Mark and I were preparing the town hall meeting in December, I think one of the slides were like, you know, we went from one Fortune 500 company at the end of 20 to 3 in the Fortune 25 at the end of 2021. And we were like, you know, man, we have to go through the customer list and then match it up against the Fortune 500 and see who's in the 25. We're just like, I don't have time. We don't have time for that. So there could be more, but I can absolutely tell you that one of the most famous Fortune 25 customers just became a customer of ours this past week.
Interesting. There's Jeff Kramer has been, looks like, posting about your picture of your tweet of CVS Scott. Any update on that deployment?
Working with them on process and procedure, and we swapped out the Scotts for Avas, and we're working with them on that, and that's the update on that.
Okay. I think that's about all the questions I see.
Well, those are good ones. I mean, that was a good session. I hope that there was enough information that everybody found was valuable. I did. I love the questions. We're such a great community.
Okay. Steve, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to answer these questions for the AITX community and Rad Army. So please, everyone, like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, and check out the other YouTube videos on this channel as well. Also check out the AITX.ai website, Rad Light My Way, radsecurity.com, and make sure to follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Reinharz, and make sure to join the Discord.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Craig. Great session.